just like that, they buy it. They eat it up. You pander to them, you thank them. I mean, really, people, I thought you were a little bit smarter than that. I mean, it's just so easy to say the name of the city. You cheer.
Hey, Stephanie,
you cheer. I mean, just come on.
Welcome to the A Show.
What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the A Show with the Kings of Pro Wrestling Podcast. I am Justin, here with Meelz. It is episode 140 on the A Show. Thank you guys for rocking with us. And Meelz, as the great prophet Future Hendrix would say, it's an evil world we living in.
It's crazy. It's crazy. You know what's the most evil thing about this world? All this COVID weight that I've added on now. I feel disgusting. I feel like it's not my fault, but also I could have prevented this, but also how? I don't know what to say.
I put on about 15. I put 15 on.
I put on like 10, maybe close to 15 pounds just being at home, and it sucks. And I hate it, and I hate a lot of things about it. So now I'm trying to like burn everything off before I go back to work, which I'm assuming will be sometime next month. Mm-hmm. So I'm trying to like burn everything off. So I'm like eating salads now. But before that, I was like wilding out on Uber Eats and like Grubhub and Seamless and stuff like that. And just like getting whatever. And it's like, whatever. It's only one meal a day. Wrong. Oh my God. Wrong. So now, of course, you see me for you thing on IG. I'm like running again and all this other type of stuff. Like, I hate COVID weight. COVID, you just ruined my life in more ways than one.
I just feel like more tired when I
feel more tired too. Yeah, I feel exhausted with like blah. Like now, it's not even COVID that's keeping me in the house currently. It's too hot.
Oh God!
And now it's like 90 degrees in New York City, and I'm just like, nah. I think I'll stay home. Like,
yeah, that sucks. Because I mean, all you guys have is like huge buildings, and all that heat bounces off of those buildings and right back into your faces. So
listen,
that sucks.
Brooklyn is a borough that does not have many trees in certain areas. They gave all the areas with trees to white people. Mm-hmm. So it's just sweltering heat from day to day, and then it's like the fear of Rona. So it's like 90 degrees, and you're wearing this face mask, and you're walking out. It's just, it's crazy. It is what it is. You know what? I mean, I feel like we're probably in like week 13 of this. I don't want to talk about the Rona for too much longer. It just is what it is. It's going to be what it is for a very long time. But
we do have an announcement.
Yeah, we have an announcement.
But before we get to the announcement, I got to shout out some listeners. I got a DM from my good friend Eric G Life on Twitter. He said that
that's my guy. Yeah.
He said that his brother, he's a huge fan of the podcast. He said he's been listening to it forever, and he's a huge wrestling fan. He wants to like get on the show one day. We don't really have any big things going on right now to have guests right now. So just want to say right now, thank you, Shane and Blaine, for all of your support. When we have something cool that we usually do, like integrate our fans into the show really often. So when we do, I'll make sure to hit you guys up or hit Eric to hit you guys up and see what you guys think about something really soon. But, thank you so much for listening to the show for so long. We've been on 140 weeks. So
yeah, it's amazing.
That's a lot.
It's yeah, it is.
Does it shock you to know that we have like people that like will like listen to this religiously every week? Has it hit you yet?
Okay, so boom, right? the feeling of it didn't hit me as much because I did Two Bells podcast before, so I remember just people listening to that on a weekly basis and us doing that on a weekly basis. So it's not like it's like, oh man, like I'm used to it, but also like like it does freak me out a little bit that people do thoroughly enjoy the podcast every week and will hit me up with something that I've said that I don't remember that I've said. And so many different other things. But yeah, I mean, it's crazy. 140 weeks, 140 episodes. This is, you've said it before, the longest commitment that we've ever had.
Yeah. I don't think I have relationships that have lasted this long.
Oh my God. So, it is what it is. But yeah, shout out to everybody listening. Thank you guys. Thank you so much.
But we do have an update on something that we wanted to do this week that we're going to push back just so that we can give proper time to the big topic of the week that we're going to get to after this. What's the announcement, Meelz?
Well, the announcement is that we were originally supposed to do our top 10 for the half year, and I've been out here and I've been passing out this list to people. I didn't get as much people yet, but I guess we got more time now. So
yeah, perfect.
So we're supposed to do our half-year list, our top performers in the WWE of 2020 thus far. And just pretty much with everything that's kind of shaken down this entire week, and this will probably be a good transition into everything that's occurred in the wrestling world, or probably the biggest topic to occur in the wrestling world. But with everything kind of shaken down this week, we didn't really feel like it was right to kind of, is Sasha Banks or Charlotte or have that kind of discussion or kind of thing, or trying to wedge our takes and the takes of many others into this conversation space when there's something a lot more important that we need to talk about. So, yeah, I mean, I think we'll push it back. Hopefully it'll be about a week. If not, we'll let you know. I'm still going to send it out to various people and ask for their top 10. So I just now getting a lot more voices into this and kind of seeing where everyone's at. But, just the picks thus far have been very, very interesting. So please look out for that. Yeah, it'll definitely happen soon.
Yes. And with that, of course, we have to speak on Speaking Out, a hashtag that was started last Friday by a number of women in and around and outside of the wrestling business, fans, actual performers, all over, that have been telling their story for the past almost week now, about 5 days that this has been going on. It seems as though there's something new that pops up every single day with a number of different wrestlers. This put, I have to say, a huge black mark on really just the wrestling community last week. I think everyone was really shocked, surprised, really disappointed in a lot of the things we were hearing. But this sparked off from David Starr actually being outed first.
Was it? All right. So was it? I remember several different people just being out, and excuse if you can hear all the construction that's happening on the background. But I remember, and the crazy thing about this is that it doesn't really surprise me, but this includes like a swath of things. It's like wrestlers, promoters, website writers for whatever particular reason, announcers, everybody's kind of being, outed by these, these women and everybody else who's speaking out about kind of the terrible things that these guys have done. And it kind of makes you, it kind of makes you rethink about, and you say a black mark, and I agree with you, because it kind of makes you think about the culture of professional wrestling just outside of the WWE, right? Mm-hmm. Because it's not that a lot of these things haven't happened. But I mean, there's some WWE names on here, but there's a lot of independent names. There's a lot of people from the past. There's a lot of trainers who taught people how to wrestle that took advantage of people. There's a lot of independent, you're on the road and you're having these conversations and you're speaking with these people and they're doing these terrible things. Like, it kind of makes you wonder about like what exactly is in the culture of professional wrestling right now.
Yeah. And of course this is, I mean, I don't want to sound wrong for saying this, but especially considering the other thing that we literally just started talking or we just talked about 2 weeks ago, but it really is systemic down the ranks of pro wrestling. Like, I feel as though these people this is like learned behavior. It's also like behavior that was never curbed. So it was allowed to continue going on for years and years and years. manipulation, abuse, emotional abuse, mental abuse, physical abuse. You've run the gamut of it in the past couple of days. I'm looking at and shout out to Meltzer Said What for tweeting this out last night. I had to grab it and use it for today. The Something Awful forums has a list of what they call shitheads, which, I mean, that just pretty much tells you. But this is a long list, and I know you have the list too.
I'm looking at it now.
It's a long list of people that have been accused. That like Joey Ryan has 16 accusers, and I have to say, let's be clear here. If I had to say the biggest, I want to say like the biggest. I'm not going to compare
offender.
But, like the not biggest offenders. I just don't want to compare. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to say this one's worse than the other. I'd have to say the most newsworthy. How about that? The most newsworthy guys here. I have to say, more than likely Dave Chris, whatever, from Impact, who's since been fired. Dave Lagana, was still working for NWA. He was doing NWA Power. Obviously, David Starr and Joey Ryan. Joey Ryan is a sick guy, bro. I'm talking underage women, older women, ex-girlfriends, you name it. This dude, and the thing is, I'm not surprised, but it's still like, again, it's systemic. It was enabled for a really long time. That shit was sick.
I think just in these situations, and as you're going back, I think probably one of the first names that I saw about this was the whole Jim Cornette and Stacey Cornette thing.
Oh yeah, that's
which to me was crazy because you have these people in, positions of power who's taking advantage of people who are and women. I don't even want to say people taking advantage of a lot of women who want necessarily to break into the wrestling business. It even brings us back to a couple of years ago with the whole. The Moolah thing, right? Like initially WWE was doing the women's battle royal, name it after Moolah, the fabulous Moolah, had to take it down because they realized they found out this dark history, and it's talked about on the Dark Side of the Ring. It's up, you can kind of watch it, about Moolah really kind of pimping out these women and using them and garnering favors for herself and garnering favors for people by just using women in kind of very expletive ways. But to me, it's 100% systemic. Like this is sad to kind of read and kind of see and kind of speaking out. And it's hard enough being a woman in just this day and age. Yeah. But to be a woman in wrestling as well, it kind of also feels like wrestling isn't something that's really taken seriously in the United States. It's not really something that has been, it's not like if this happened in WNBA or if this happened in the Olympic, some sort of Olympic thing, it would be much bigger news, right? But this is kind of like just this news in the wrestling industry. So it kind of definitely also has this undertone of like, even if I say something, who exactly will care? Yeah,
and I would say that, like, to speak to your seriousness point, that's probably why this hasn't blown up even more.
Yeah.
Like, I think the only thing we saw on TMZ was the Sammy Guevara thing. And I think maybe the impact firings, I think I might have seen that on a huge outlet. But a lot of this is, like, not really taken very seriously. There are some, like, honest to God proof in this stuff. Like the Jordan Devlin stuff is damning, and his response to that is pretty damning as well. And I'd have to imagine that, because I mean, even the Velveteen stuff has popped up again, and it's like I'm not sure what the WWE's what their process is for investigation, but again, like I'm pretty sure that if Jack Gallagher is gone, then there is something that they're doing, and then AEW's done their due process. Even Impact, where all of these people go, are like making actions now, like like all these disgraced wrestlers, like a Joey Ryan or a Tessa Blanchard. That's where they go, and they're not getting looked at, or they're getting looked at a little bit differently now. It's real sick, but again, it's not getting looked at the way that the music industry got looked at with L.A. Reid and Russell Simmons, or the entertainment industry with Harvey Weinstein, or the sports industry. Like, it's not being looked at in that light. And I think, you hit the nail on the head. Like, it's not taken seriously for a lot of people because of what it is.
And you have these women who kind of screaming out, and they're more concerned like no one will care, and then also it'll affect I'll be blackballed before I even get into business. It's such a narrow kind of route for women in the wrestling industry. There's not a lot that make it to sort of the main stage, and the wrestling industry itself, in terms of women, haven't been necessarily kind. They've been kind of looked at as eye candy. It's actually, if you think about it, it's been a lot more promoted from in the past, at least, that they are eye candy, that they're that they only belong in these sort of positions and all this other stuff. So they really haven't even been conditioned to the fact like, yo, I'm the top star, I'm something, and I'm not going to put up with this, and this is what's going to happen. And all these, they haven't been really put in positions of power. This is something that happens to Charlotte. And actually, it has happened to Charlotte. Like, there's a past with her and just kind of abuse and stuff like that. And I'm sure she's talked about it, I believe, before. In her book, right? Her book with her father. So she's talked about it in her past. And it can happen to anybody, but you rarely have these women in these positions of powers in the industry who are able to kind of say something and speak out about it. I kind of wish we had someone I guess now that we could kind of talk to speak more about this, but I also want to ask you, because you talked about the Jack Gallagher and we've talked about, this whole, it's Matt Riddle, Sammy Guevara. What does the company's responsibility play in this? How much is the company's actually responsible for, helping promote this environment or, cutting things off?
Yeah. Well, a lot of the companies have done a lot of things. I think WWE was very forthright in their zero tolerance policy, but they put right there in bold in the fine print. If you are convicted, what does it say? Like, if you're arrested, there's a zero tolerance policy to any sort of domestic abuse, sexual abuse, any kind of abuse towards women. There's a zero tolerance policy. You are gone. You're clipped. Just a few years ago, there was another wrestler. I forgot his name. Rich Swann. Yeah, he was. There was an altercation. Yeah, altercation with Sue Young. He was out immediately. I remember once there was one with. I think that was one of the reasons why Drew McIntyre was also let go a number of years ago. That was another reason why Rhino was having an argument with his wife like 15 years ago in the park, and they like clipped him immediately. WWE has always had kind of this no tolerance policy for these type of situations, but they also say like. I think they also, and then we see situations with like Matt Riddle and Jordan Devlin, who are now, moving forward to take legal action against their accusers because they believe that they have been wrongly accused. The Matt Riddle thing is so tricky, and it continues to be tricky because he debuted that Friday. And people were saying that they were going to cut him out, and even then, like I didn't openly say that. I was like, I don't think just by the looks of like the company and shit like that, and him coming out and his like candor afterwards, I was like, I don't know if that's going to happen. Like this guy is like they're going to push him regardless.
It would have been judging by the show that I saw on Friday. It would have been hard to cut him out and still have an actual SmackDown show.
And I couldn't. I haven't watched like. You already know, like I'm a fan of Riddle, and I was really disappointed, and I'm still disappointed to a point where I couldn't even watch his debut. And like again, whatever happens between now and then, like I'm gonna have to reconcile what I see, from then on. Right. I'm pretty sure I'll probably go back and watch SmackDown. I'll be able to watch it. Well, it becomes tough. To fairly judge what you're seeing on screen when that happens. And his accusations are tricky to me because there are things that are within that. His wife is aware of this. He said that he was in a relationship with her, that she was cyber stalking him and something like that. The lawyer came out and made a statement. So I would imagine that this is the part on the zero policy thing where WWE says upon conviction, or misconduct, you're terminated. If you're arrested, they can fine and suspend you. I'm guessing that's what's protecting him right now, is that he has legal representation, but that makes it tricky for the victim,
Yeah.
And which even though they were in a relationship, whatever. But we've seen how these things fall apart when that happens. And let's be clear, 5 or 6 days later, I see more people talking about David Starr and Joey Ryan still than they are talking about Matt Riddle. Like, and that's just the long and short of it. He's managed to skirt through this fairly untouched, other than those 5 hours before he debuted.
I mean, we're 100% still looking around at this. I mean, I think the first kind of red flag, or a lot of things that we saw, is we were kind of wondering when this news was all coming out. It was like, yo, what's going to happen to NXT UK? Because there's a lot of accusations in the UK waters. There's Tyler Bate is on here, Trent Seven, just a lot of people who were on the NXT UK brand have been affiliated with the NXT UK brand, Joe Coffey, all this other stuff. And it kind of makes you wonder, like, what do we do here? Is it a situation now where you nix the brand, considering how all this, I guess they're going through kind of the whole legal process of like, okay, let's take a look at this. Let's determine what this, how do you filter through what's, what you think is factual, what you think is not factual, what you think is, where people are going legally in terms of how to protect themselves, how people are reacting otherwise. That's why I asked in terms of just kind of responsibility of the company, because the company, I mean, it's one thing also to, I think with WWE and all wrestling companies, and I think they need to do that. It's culture, right?
Yeah.
It's culture instilling, and we're men on one side, women on one side, and they don't really interact unless they have to, or unless they're working, kind of thing. And not that they don't really interact, because men and women are going to interact, but you kind of lay that boundary that, like, listen, this is a thing of respect here, and this is how we treat women in the industry, and you treat them with respect because
that's just what you're supposed to do.
Yeah,
we're supposed to respect each other.
Yeah,
like
100%. It was on the same level.
It was shocking to see Pete Dunne reacting to all of this and seeing his friends, people that he's very close with react. Like that to me was like, and he made it clear, like, I'm not trying to be the voice for this. I'm a man, and I appreciated him saying that he didn't want to be the voice for this. Like I really, out of all of this, the one light that I can find, other than the brave women who've spoken up, is Keith Lee and Pete Dunne and everyone that's speaking out, and let's just call a moratorium on telling wrestlers when they should respond to things. Yeah, let's get into that right now. Yeah,
because there is a situation online.
Yes, with Sammy Guevara, who I'm not a fan. I watched him in PWG. I watched him on several indies before he made it to TV and AEW. And he was just never the guy for me. He just seemed like a regular. He just was really, really like vanilla in-ring wise to me. He was crisp, but he wasn't like anything to speak on. That's just my personal thoughts on him. But like well, I guess Sasha said something. This is where it started. This is another thing where it started as something completely like, whoa, and then it blew up to something bigger. Sasha said that her and Bailey, she retweeted something about ratings, I believe, and said that she and Bailey were better than late sex gods on AEW, which led Jericho to say something. I'm blocked. I didn't see it. And Sammy Guevara.
Jericho said that they actually won in the 18 to 49 demographic, and that's the one that sponsors look at the most. So in reality, that they won. That's what he said. I can't believe you're.
That's what he said.
That's what he said. Yeah, that was it. It wasn't anything crazy. Also, Jericho is not in the 18 to 14 demographic, which is also funny.
He's not. Like, what are you talking about? Anyway,
it is what it is.
So Sammy responded, which he didn't need to respond at all. Let's just be completely clear here. He responded with a picture of Ricochet. We've all seen the picture of Ricochet when he was younger.
Yeah.
With the blowout. Yeah, and he tried to say that was Sasha.
Oh man, you would have got run up and done up in any other situation. So
yeah,
I wasn't happy with that.
That wasn't cool. But then what they do? It's like Sasha fans are like kind of like the Barbs. They're gonna find something on you and they're gonna destroy you. They found a podcast. Yes. They found a podcast from 2016.
You have to scour the internet to find this type of shit. I'm just letting you know. You really have to like.
Well, luckily they didn't have to listen for too long, because it's literally like in the first 10 minutes of the podcast where he says he was trying out for WWE way back when. and he said he saw Sasha Banks and he said he wanted to rape her. This is 2016. It was like January. It was like January. So like we weren't fully in the age that we are here, but 2016 was kind of the age where it was like, okay, Trump is out here wilding, but women are kind of moving forward with Hillary. So this was still not okay then. It's really not okay now, but it wasn't okay then either.
It's definitely not okay. I mean, we look at these type of things. I think we see this a lot more often than we'd probably like to see it, especially with like kind of everything that happens within the music industry and stands over there in terms of the hate that's brought with that. But this had like, it's not even cool. Like, it wasn't cool for even a second to say that. And I don't care what kind of connotation it was. Some people were like, calm down. He was just saying that she finds her fine. Well, then just say that she's fine. Like, just say that. I say Sasha Banks is fine every damn week. Like, I'll never say anything as wild as like, I want to rape her. That's crazy.
He could say like, I really love her. I'm a fan of hers. I want to date her. He could say that. But,
I mean, that's his own kind of upbringing, right? That's kind of like, I mean, it kind of even looks like what AEW is. Yeah, it's the boys club. We talk how we want to talk. We say what we want to say without even caring or something along those lines. So it is what it is. But we should circle around back to the original point, even though that this was 100% terrible.
I guess we get to it because this is a branch off of Speaking Out. I think that happened because everything that's going on, it just keeps compounding to a point where, again, like looking at wrestling Twitter for the past couple of days is tiring completely. I don't even see how anyone's engaging in it. I'm just like, okay, I'm going to watch my shows and leave. But this blew up into everyone saying, how come Sasha's it was like, 8 o'clock my time? So it was like 11 o'clock your time. They were like, how come no one's saying anything about what Sammy said to Sasha? And I was like, all right, guys, like these people wake up at 5 or 6 o'clock, go to the gym. They have to go to tapings right after. They tape twice a day. They have a job. They have to go to work. You cannot. But then they were like, well, they stood up for Peyton and Alexa. And I was like, yeah, because they're the ones who tweeted it. Sasha hadn't tweeted or said anything about it. They didn't do anything. Right. And then like, I think the big thing was Rhea Ripley getting on and being upset and being like, hold on, I don't live on this app. Like, I don't know what's going on. And then turn around and say, oh yeah, that is pretty fucked up. And it's like, that's what y'all wanted?
Yeah, that's what it boggles my mind that the culture that we've kind of established I mean, here's the thing. There's situations kind of like what we were talking about 2 weeks ago where your silence is equal to, it's your silence on an entire nationwide kind of situation, and this kind of thing that's affecting all of us and affecting the world is taken very, very seriously. But then there's also things like where we're at here, right? Mm-hmm. Where Rhea Ripley, I mean, I think it's more of a situation of like, yo, I didn't even wake up, but you're out here like, you're here torching me. You're out here torching me. You're knocking, you're pitchforking, you're everything like that. You're adding every kind of person on the roster. And like, you need to say something in regards to Sasha. Let me tell you something about Sasha. Sasha Banks is a grown ass woman who could probably slap the shit out of Sammy Guevara. I'll be honest with you. And not to say that she has to defend this on her own or she has to be completely own on her this, but there's also a situation where it's like, Sasha Banks is a strong woman. Everyone is she can in herself, I think, reach out and be like, listen, I'm going to solve this, how I'm going to solve this. But I don't think it's Rhea Ripley's responsibility to really kind of add kind of outside of the fact of like, okay, here's how we are not going to conduct ourselves in the business. Here's how we don't do things. Here, as a woman, I'm speaking out on my things. That's kind of where, as far as it kind of goes. And she can support her friend. She can support Sasha. But people shouldn't feel pressured into doing these things. You shouldn't nudge all these people every day showing up in their mentions with pitchforks and then lambasting them for like, it
boggles the mind, like you said.
Yeah.
It's like, and on one end, you want to support these women, and this is a rabid fan base on one end. On the other end, it is a rabid fan base. So at the end of the day, it's like you you're making a lot out of it. It's like, well, no one they're, Sasha and Naomi, I've seen this, like they're faced with defending themselves alone. And it's like, that doesn't mean we don't know. Yeah, we don't know any of the things. You just want people to say something on Twitter just so it can validate your head theory, your head canon. That these people are like, what if people do? What if Sasha's crossed someone backstage and they're not friends, and then she doesn't really have a lot of friends backstage? This is hypothetical. What if, and this could be the same for Drew McIntyre. This could be the same for Kofi Kingston. Anyone, like, we don't know the interpersonal relationships of everyone in that workplace. Just like I don't know your interpersonal relationships at your job, and you don't know mine. This is a job for these people, and I'm not saying that what they deal with is fucked up from fans that love them and from fans that hate them. Let's be clear; it's both toxic. There's a lot of entitlement that goes along with this, and I felt as though the whole Sammy Sasha stuff buried the shit out of the actual other stuff that was going on that needed to be talked about. Whereas, even when they had a conversation, it became, Sammy said he was sorry, even though he liked a comment that was defending him, which was pretty stupid. He said he was sorry. He said he talked to Sasha. Sasha left a pretty eloquent note afterwards, and people were like, "Well, she didn't forgive him, and she don't got to, or she didn't forgive him." We don't know what the conversation was. Yeah. She could have just not said forgive, but you see how you could play it. It's the same way you could say, "Well, she didn't forgive him," and that's your headcanon. But I could turn around and say, "Well, you don't know that she didn't forgive him. Let's just leave it at face value." They spoke and he said sorry and she heard him. But we don't have to make this into something that it's not. And Sammy already got punished for this. He's been suspended without pay for further notice. All of his pay will go towards a women's center in Jacksonville. Good on AEW for doing that because, even though I'm questionable how they sent Jimmy Havoc to rehab, I thought that was kind of like 2 steps forward, 3 steps back with that. I did like what they did. And I feel like it's good to have all these companies, because people kept turning this into WWE versus AEW again. It's like, it's not a bad thing these companies deal with things differently. You should look at what they both do, because this is unprecedented for literally all of them. And guess what? These are shows that you watch and that you love. So you should want better for them. Right.
And it's crazy that we're in 2020 and we're having these conversations in WWE and AEW, and the entire wrestling industry is forced to actually look at themselves for once. These aren't isolated incidents that get waved over. Like, you have the Moolah incident and then it's like WrestleMania 2 weeks later and no one's talking about it anymore. These aren't these isolated incidents anymore. This is a grand wave. This is you could even say a pandemic, of like something that's been happening, and this whole speaking out sort of movement and things like that has kind of, it should force the wrestling industry to look at itself and look back at its practices and look back at the old boys club and look back at so many things that are toxic about it, so many things that are old school, so many ideals and so much traditions that are kind of kept on from back when everybody, it was so problematic, especially compared to now. They should really they should kind of really take a look at themselves and determine how they want to move from here, and how women are treated in professional wrestling and how everyone is, because it's to me, that's kind of the most sickening part. It's like, even you have fans coming out, you have, other women wrestlers coming out, you have all these people coming out. It's sick. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, it's sick. Yeah. It's sick to look at that list of professional wrestlers, and any of them could have been, at time major stars, and some of them are, but like it sucks to look at that list and see like, oh my God, and look at people like Joey Ryan, who has 17 accusers, and it's like, bro, you should be banished from the wrestling industry. You are not allowed to be in any places where women are. Yeah. That's where I see when I see 17 accusers. You know what I'm saying? That's what I see. Yeah, like that's when the entire wrestling industry needs to take a look at itself, and it needs to be more initiatives. I think there needs to be a lot more, education, a lot more things kind of given out. And,
I think I wouldn't be shocked or surprised, and I think it's needed. I think rosters and every company need to be given sensitivity training and
I agree.
and social media training and racial sensitivity training. They all need to take classes. And I know for like main roster people, this is probably not like the best time for them to be taking these types of classes, but shit, put it on Zoom. You know,
put it on Zoom. Fuck it.
Like these people need to know, and they need to be educated on what's wrong and what's not. I think a lot of this stuff, I think these companies are going to see it as so old that it's going to be very hard for them to prove. It's going to be very hard for them to actually act upon. So like, I think the worst case scenario and the worst thing that will happen here is that I think the indie guys are done. I'd clearly say that. I think a lot of I would say a lot of the more pushed guys are probably going to be okay. And I think that's the reality that we're probably going to have to look at here. Like a lot of push guys are probably going to be fine. I know we brought up the Velveteen thing. I mean, I think like a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago. That keeps coming up. I do think the WWE should be coming out and saying something about that, though. It keeps coming up, and it doesn't cease to be weird and off-putting every single time, regardless of how old. I know someone brought up how old they were. I'm like, regardless of how old it is, we need to know the outcome of what you guys were talking about with him, his accusers, and the man himself.
100%. Yeah. No, I agree.
But that's our talk on speaking out. Of course, Meelz and I are not women. We're just speaking from a male perspective here. If we have said anything that has upset you or possibly triggered you, just reach out to us, let us know. We're doing the best we can with this sensitive topic. We can't talk about every single thing, but we just have to give our viewpoints on it. And more bummer news, I think bummer to me because I'm a huge fan of him, and this has nothing to do with speaking out. The Undertaker, Last Ride, episode 5 aired. I think we had guessed this. I think I've seen a couple people guess this, that this was a stealth retirement documentary, and our confirmations were met with a resounding truth here. Undertaker's retired. He's done. I thought episode 5 was.
So he says. I don't know.
It looked pretty final, more final than him putting his hat down.
that Drew McIntyre's looking pretty good out there. Like, it's a. I thought the final part of it was great. I thought overall, in terms of just the kind of story they told, this is probably one of the best docs. I mean, we say it every time WWE puts a doc out, but this might be one of the best docs that they've had and kind of worth the weight of the network, right? Like finally, like not like finally, but it's like this is the content. This is like the peak content that we asked for. We asked for these behind the scenes stuff. We asked for this knowledge. We asked for this in-depth kind of analysis on all these other things. And we get Undertaker, the last ride, and we find out that it truly is indeed his last ride and that he is fully retired. And just the range of emotions and kind of looking back and, a lot of it, including AJ and how he wanted to do it. And people like, yo, if AJ's the one, it's a.
I did like. I mentioned this last week. I love the foreshadowing to AJ from episode 1 all the way down. From that they foreshadow this, and I know that a lot of this probably wasn't planned, but I love that it was kind of like it was a breadcrumb throughout the documentary that he would show up and we wouldn't know what's about to happen, but we got to see in the moment how Undertaker felt about him. And I love to see their relationship was a lot deeper than I even knew. I don't think anyone knew that they had a mutual friend and that they actually hung out together before.
Yeah, no, not at all. I mean, I would have never guessed it.
But I mean, like, okay, let's say, it's not surprising that they would like each other and hang out based on their leanings.
No, it's not surprising they would like each other, but that they actually were friends and had a mutual friend and know each other's families and all this other stuff. Yes, that is incredibly surprising to me. Yeah. What was also kind of heartbreaking about this entire thing was that weekend of WrestleMania, right? Like Undertaker's in what we would know now is his last match, at least up to this point, and they're going through the entire changes with WrestleMania due to COVID-19 and all this stuff. And then he gets the call that his brother has died and he opts to continue. He's like, listen, the show must go on, but he doesn't really get to cope with it. And you see him kind of break down as he's doing his confessional ordeal. And it's a lot with wrestlers. There's a lot that goes on behind the scenes that we don't know. I mean, we just talked about it. There's so much that we don't know. We can only take what for face value in terms of what we see and all this other stuff, and everyone draws their conclusions about that. But I don't think anyone had any idea that he was going through this.
Yeah, it was a lot, and you couldn't tell. You wouldn't be able to tell.
No, you wouldn't be able to tell. And for him to do that and continue to pull that off, I mean, I have to give him. There's so much strength in actual that being able to pull off this match and go through the timing and everything and be able to deliver on a high level, which he did when that WrestleMania match we talked about. It's still one of our favorite matches of the year. To be able to deliver on such a high level with everything that's happening in his real life, you know, my hat's off to him, man. It's
and no one would have blamed him if he said no to recording that match. No one would have blamed him for saying no to that. But it just goes to show just how much he like really loves what he does. And I saw someone say like, this is a tragedy, not nothing that we should be cheering about. And it's like, man, get the fuck out of here. Like, he's a grown ass man. Like, he chooses these relationships and he chooses to stay in them. Like, if he needed help, he and even Michelle thought that he should have gotten help. Like, I didn't see that. I saw a man that was just as driven as like a Michael Jordan would be to actually be the best at what he wanted, at what he does. And regardless, you know, they're not the same profession. They do completely different things. But I think that, like, you know, Taker, he went out on a high. And I think that's what, if this is the end for him, let it be that way. You know, even if he, you know, he might do a one-off, you know, I'm pretty sure he will. But if this was the, you know, at the end of him doing feuds and shit like that, I'm cool with that, because I love the breakdown of the psychology behind him having all of his different personalities in one match and then ending it that way. And I thought that was a really cool touch that Taker got to take us through the storytelling of that match.
No, I agree as well. Yeah. I think we have fallout from last week's COVID situation.
Yes, there was no NXT was able to go on as scheduled. So we did get the 2 NXT episodes taped. It just seemed, I think they did it later, because the Raws they aired this week were aired very late last week because they got into the building late. The SmackDown, and now SmackDown I think is going to be taped this week because they weren't able to get to it last week because of the testing. So it's been pushed back.
This is a lot of
timing,
a lot of
and
stuff.
Shit like that.
Yeah, it's a lot of stuff. It's a lot of stuff. So I'm assuming, based on the test, that we'll see who appears on the show.
I'm guessing. But the thing is, we don't even know. Well, I mean, they've pretty much been announcing, whether it be within that 2 weeks, after the 2 weeks, or before, during, who's tested positive. So again, it's another guessing game of like who has it or who doesn't. But they're being somewhat.
Would you feel comfortable if WWE like
told us,
came forth, and just told us, or would you feel like that was good of them, or do you kind of respect the anonymity behind it? Like, I respect
that they do it after the fact. So that they've already been okay. They're already fine, and it's like, because I think that when doing that they skip a lot of like accountability and like there isn't much news to have there if the person's fine. I think there's a lot of news there if they announce it when, oh my God, someone tested positive today on June 22nd. You know, it is like,
damn, he was just in a 6-man tag.
Yeah, it's like then there's hysteria, but you immediately saw on these Raws the differences. Profits don't go into the crowd this week. There's very little interaction inside of the crowd this week because they were wilding out 2 weeks ago. Yeah. They were fucking going crazy with the crowd stuff, and they stopped it. And I'm fine with that.
No, I'm fine with that too. And then we heard they actually improved a lot of the conditions. I think there was a Fightful. I might have to get this Fightful thing. Like, it seems to be. I mean, this isn't an ad, but they seem to be.
Let's cop.
I mean, we might have to cop it. I mean, they've done well with accommodations. They've done a lot more cleaning. Seats for the people. Yeah. People are allowed to sit down. I mean, that was a big request from people, and they seem to be, you know, taking from this incident and decided to actually improve on everything, and as they should. I mean, it's a terrible situation.
Yeah, it is.
And
but
reckless situation, and reckless, more importantly.
Even though these motherfuckers shouldn't be recording, I do appreciate that they're making more concessions and improving the experience for the people that have to stand there and be there for 14 hours a day or some shit like that. Like, give them something because they need it, and I do appreciate that. Last bit of news, Charlotte is injured. Just announced this morning. It hasn't been announced by WWE proper, but I would imagine that if you watched Raw, a lot of things would make sense as to what was going on. We don't know what the severity of the injury is. Meltzer says they're hoping that she'll be back by SummerSlam, but it's not a guarantee. But the thing about it is, if she's back by SummerSlam, it's almost July. She's not going to be in a match, and if she's getting surgery, she's not going to be on TV. So I would expect her to be back in September if that was the case.
I heard conflicting reports that she wants to take a break and she won't be back until I don't say that, and it'd be wild if she took a break and wasn't back till next year. I feel like I saw that, at the top of it. She wants to take an extended break because of how she's kind of been going consistently for quite some time, and she feels like she wants a break. So that's kind of what I've heard in terms of what I've read. Yeah,
I mean, both things. Injury obviously more severe, but her wanting to take a break, she's had.
If anyone deserves it.
Yeah, like she has had the division on her back. It's time to hand it over to someone else. Let's get Bianca on TV. Let's have Liv not in this shitty Natalya feud. Let's do some other things with it. I think the real tea here is Sasha and Bayley have a clear line to really take over right now, and they absolutely should. They're deserving of it. They're cooking on another level right now. We've been saying this for a couple of weeks. They're on another level of what they're doing, and I'm really enjoying it. But we'll get to that when we talk Raw. But before we talk Raw, Meelz, you watched SmackDown. I have not had the heart to do it, but I do know what happened with a lot of the segments. What did you feel about the show on Friday?
SmackDown was good. SmackDown was
That's the worst part.
That was pretty good. First of all, I'm a sucker for opening segments with everybody there, with all the roster. So all the roster surrounding the ring, because AJ Styles is doing his Intercontinental title championship party. So they make everyone stand around the ring and everyone's like side-eyeing him, like Cesaro and the Big E, and just kind of everyone's there. And AJ Styles is doing his best AJ Styles work. I mean, he calls Daniel Bryan into the ring. He's like, hey, come on, put the belt around my waist. Like, come on, be a man, Bryan. And he's doing it, and he's antagonizing Bryan, and he's just A1 at this point. Like, AJ Styles might be the best heel currently right now. He just is. And then Matt Riddle comes out to kind of, ruin the whole party. They have a match. AJ Styles like, whoa. We're not putting the Intercontinental title on the line. No, of course not. No shirt, no shoe. He said this verbatim. No shirt, no shoes, no Intercontinental. He said something along those lines. That was what I was telling you to watch.
Oh, man.
He's just like, he was on 10. My man really said no shirt, no shoes. Also, it looks like we're continuing the Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville feud. Sonya Deville had a very awesome promo. She interrupted Miss TV. Great look as well. She was wearing this all black suit, and it's kind of like a different look for the women who are usually
in dresses and stuff.
Yeah, and told to wear skins, revealing stuff, and like all this other stuff. Yeah, so so it was great. If they're heading towards something for Extreme Rules, I think those two ladies deserve it for this feud thus far. I think they deserve to kind of show what they've got on a bigger stage. So hopefully it goes to Extreme Rules. What else happened on SmackDown?
Did Riddle win? I didn't even ask.
Riddle won the match. Yes, Riddle won the match. And everyone was like dancing over AJ Styles' corpse. Like, it was hilarious.
They were dancing to his theme song?
Yes, they were dancing to his theme song over his corpse.
So what do you think? What do you think is happening with Riddle? We're going right into the Baron feud, from what I understand.
Oh, yeah. There was an altercation with Baron on the outside. He pushes him. They get in his face. I think we're obviously getting the Baron Corbin feud. We're getting the works with that. But I thought he would be in line for the title shot. But this week we're getting Drew Gulak versus AJ Styles for the Intercontinental title. That is your guy, my man.
Like, yeah, because Drew, Get Money Drew, he beat AJ 3 weeks ago. So Get Money
yes. Drew. Yeah. So that happened. And then what else happened? Well, the closing of SmackDown is probably the most interesting thing. We are getting it looks like we're getting the second match between Bray Wyatt and Braun Strowman. Our, suspicions were kind of confirmed that The Miz and John Morrison was just a standby feud. Bray Wyatt has revealed yet another face. He is no longer the Firefly Funhouse Bray, who faced him 2 months ago. We will now be getting the OG Bray Wyatt from the Swamps, from the talking voice with the t-shirts. He will be facing Braun Strowman. It looks like at Extreme Rules, to be, in my opinion. He's returned back to the Eater of Worlds, Bray Wyatt.
What? What are we just keeping the Fiend off TV because he caught the L? That's
Fiend looks like it's for SummerSlam. They clearly have okay, you have to beat these two faces of it's the three faces of Foley type of thing. That's what they're kind of alluding to. So we got Firefly Funhouse Bray, and I'm assuming this will be great for his merch.
I mean, yeah, he's a merch pusher. That's my thing. I don't understand why they don't babyface the Fiend already. He would be gangbusters as a face. I think that we're waiting to see something like that. I do not like the Fiend as a heel, and I've said this for a year because he has to lose. As a face, he doesn't. He can have a long streak and not lose, and only come out during certain times. I don't understand why they haven't gone that way yet. He's such a better face.
Yeah, he's 100%, and we haven't really seen Bray Wyatt as a face. It's unless the brief stint with Matt Hardy, but forget Matt Hardy. But we haven't really seen him as a face. But this is interesting. The original Bray Wyatt returns. He's been given a little air. Maybe he'll move a little bit better. He's who knows, but. It looks like we're getting that for Extreme Rules, and that's what I kind of say with SmackDown. SmackDown had a lot of good stuff on it,
I'll watch it. I'll watch it.
Yeah,
I'll watch it. I'll go anyway. I think today I was I think mentally, emotionally, I'm ready to watch it. It's gonna be interesting to see where Riddle's presented. I don't think anything is gonna change. He's on After the Bell with Corey Graves this Thursday, so I think that they're fully all in on the guy. We'll see what happens with the allegations against him in the coming weeks, but that seems to be the direction here. On to Raw really quick. I really like Raw now. I think it's a really brisk show. I think a lot of things happen on Raw.
Are you watching them without commercials?
Of course, I never. But even with commercials, with the long matches, even with commercials, the Heyman's Raw had those long ass matches.
Raw. I get what you mean by brisk. Okay, I 100% get what you mean by brisk, but it's still I think just a lot of things happen, and I'm just like, whoa, okay. Are we at the third hour yet? Where are we at? Yeah, that's kind of how I feel about Raw. Not that it's bad. Raw isn't bad. It's just now, because of Bruce, a lot of things happen. It's not bad. It's not a bad show at all. It's actually a quite good show. But just me sitting there for 3 hours through all these commercials, I'm like, yo, I kind of want to do something else.
I can't do that. Can't do that play.
Yeah. I mean, I wish I had Raw and commercials, but got to get Raw first. Let's see what happens here. We have the first bit of news. I mean, the first major set of news.
Hey, the sense has been made. Yes. That's the biggest bit of news. The sense has been made, brother. On the way out.
On the way out. On the way out. What a stand-up classy lady. You know what I'm saying? What a classy lady. On the way out, putting over. Obviously, Charlotte could have said, I'm packing my bags. Y'all can book it however.
I'm rolling. She said, roll up, finish.
And Come on, y'all. Yeah, let's figure it out. But she said no. The Asuka lock looked terrifying, but Asuka's done it. Asuka has beaten Charlotte Flair. Mm-hmm. It only took
3 years.
It only took the Paul Heyman era kind of be finished for it to actually happen. And I'm with it. I mean, I'm with it. I'm finally here. I feel the kind of redemption that we feel. I feel like Asuka's reign has now kind of been certified as if it wasn't enough. But now I think what we're doing with Asuka, I mean, she's defeated Charlotte. I think we're going to run back the Nia thing again, unfortunately. But she's got to prepare to face a new crop of women on Monday Night Raw. They're the only women who are left. Well, or so we thought. It was revealed on Monday Night Raw after Sasha Banks, who's on SmackDown, who gets to come over to Raw. I didn't get the specifics of it. I still don't kind of get it.
It's part of that rule where they can do it 5 times. I think I saw somebody say this. This is what, the 3rd time they've been able to pull the different people in different shows thing. It's like a 5. It's like that. I forgot what rule it was.
Yeah. No, I mean, she's got the women's tag team title, so she's able to be on any show. But I was like, yeah, but that don't mean you're able to challenge for the belt. Like, what the hell? This don't make no damn sense. Like, yeah, like Alexa Bliss couldn't have came over to, Raw and just be like, I'm challenging you and taking the belt and all this other stuff. That doesn't seem fair. Maybe, I mean, who knows? I thought it was going to end up with a Sasha Banks versus Io Shirai thing based on how NXT went.
Well, she could still do that if she loses this match.
She probably won't. I feel like NXT is now done with the main roster people muddying up their title. But yeah, I mean, listen, Asuka versus Sasha Banks is intriguing no matter what. No matter how the funny numbers crunch up together and how the hell this happens, Asuka versus Sasha Banks is a match I want to see. So
it's gonna bang. It's gonna bang. It banged 2 years ago when they did it. I think that great storytelling here. They're holding off as long as they can. And the best part about it is, since Bruce does all the shows, he can sensically make this work because he knows how it's going to go into SmackDown. And I think if they had tried this with Heyman in the seat, it probably would have ended up with them acting completely different than how they act on SmackDown, doing something completely different. So I kudos to Bruce for using his brain and saying, hey, I've been doing this program for over 6 months now. Let's move it over to here and then get some more juice out of it. So kudos to him for doing that. I really like that idea a lot. What else you want to talk about on Raw?
There was a blockbuster trade. Blockbuster, depending on how you define either
people were telling me that
Bagwell or
people were telling me that this show was good, and then the first thing I see was Dolph Ziggler show up in the 10-minute mark, and I did the take off headphones thing so quick. Like, what is wrong with y'all? What are you doing? You lied to me. But Dolph Ziggler is. Let's just think of the logistics of this. AJ Styles, damn near Grand Slam
cash considerations in this.
Damn near a Grand Slam champion is traded. You can trade 5 superstars for one AJ Styles. Okay, let's be clear. That's how good he is. They traded Bobby Roode, who can't even come into the country because of COVID right now. Our hearts go out to him, and Dolph Ziggler were traded for
him, but also yes, my heart goes out to him. Yes, I mean Roode and Ziggs. The team that we never thought was, I actually forgot about them as an actual team, but they are coming over to Monday Night Raw trade. I don't think you could have pulled that off in 2K. I don't think you could have pulled it off anywhere without some major cash considerations involved. The contracts don't line up. But WWE really wants to, with this trade thing. I mean, at least people went over. That's all I can say. They should have threw some women in it. I don't know what to say. I think Carmella needs a new home, but Mella? Yeah, now we're getting
Mella too busy. Is that
don't say it.
Is that true? That wasn't true, right? No,
I don't know. I didn't hear it. I didn't hear it myself, so I don't know.
How much?
Well, I don't know. Dolph Ziggler immediately comes out and is all his entitled glory, challenges Drew McIntyre for a title match at Extreme Rules, and from that moment, I was like, damn, this Bobby feud really over.
They were serious about that. But here's the thing, bro. When you in the feud with Dolph Ziggler, you already know you about to come to it. Your shit about to come.
Go ahead. You in a feud for life.
Yeah, it's about to be 2 pay-per-views worth. I was not ready for the Bobby Roode feud to be over with. I'm going to be completely honest with you.
Bobby feud out here attacking black men for no reason.
He just took the coon chip out. Why are they trying to... The coon chip was taken out. Why is it back?
Yeah. I was like, what? You attacking R-Truth and Apollo Crews? What is wrong with you?
Come on, bro. We're supposed to stick together. I think this is going to eventually lead to, pardon my French, niggas only.
Oh,
The stable.
at Extreme Rules. Nothing more extreme than that. Let's see. Edge, amazing promo. He says
Very
the rated
good.
R. The rated R superstar seems to be back.
The TV 14 superstar. Come on, let's be clear. He ain't going that.
Will he wait? Will he wait for his tricep to be fully healed? Who knows? I mean, is he ever really fully healed at this point? No one knows.
No, he can come back tomorrow, and I'll be all right. Cool. He's just gonna get hurt. He's gonna get hurt.
A spear. You got another arm to spear with.
If this is going to be the last we see or hear of him, I think it's a really good promo. But it actually kind of like opened the door for him to come back in some capacity. Did you feel like that?
Yeah. No. I would say so. I would 100% say so. To me, this Raw kind of represented actually like the end of Heyman's era.
Yes.
This one more so than any other one because it's kind of like, so we got Street Profits versus Viking Raiders.
Great
Got a definitive victor in Street Profits. Shout out to them for actually getting the job done. And we are now lining them up with a new set of contenders in Andrade and Angel Garza. So
I don't think the Raiders are out of that either. I think they're still in that. They're just not against those two.
Well, Viking Profits or Street Raiders, or I don't know what they're going at.
Street Raiders is such a better name.
Yeah, it's 100%. Yeah, it's easily. Natalia's getting a new buff with Lana.
We didn't ask for it. We didn't ask for
it, but Lana needs something to do. They still got to pay her, so she's on there. She's paired up with Natalya, getting a win over Liv Morgan. It looks like we may be getting some a Riot reunion.
That's team Natty and Lana are Team Karen. Team Karen. When Natty was talking, I was like, "Are you going to just call the cops? Just go ahead and call the cops, please."
Oh my God! Or would you be a fan of Liv and Ruby reuniting?
Yeah, because I feel like if Bruce is going to completely go back on everything that Heyman was doing, at least still keep those two as faces and have them be a cool face team. And if Charlotte's gone, at least have them as a baby face team. I think that if Asuka's a baby face, who else is there on the roster?
Right.
If she's a top baby face, you need more baby faces there. And Ruby Riott as a face, I think is something I wanted to see for a while. Then you could bring in Shayna as a heel. I know Nia still has to be there, but you can bring in Bianca to kind of play a tweener too, so if they want to do that.
Yeah, 100%.
Or are they gonna bring in? Oh, I just noticed what they're gonna do. Bruce is gonna do the Bianca Zelina thing the right way because Heyman didn't capitalize on it that first week that she was there. That's why it's Andrade and Angel, because that's how they're going to introduce Bianca back in.
Well, they could also make it a three-way. You put the Viking Raiders in, you hire back Sarah Logan. You got a nice little triple threat kind of three corners, three ladies, three of them getting it on type of thing. So let's make it happen, Captain. I mean, I'm booking the territory. Why not?
Meelz booking. Let's do it.
Sasha Banks and Bayley defeated the Iconics. And,
they didn't just defeat them; they got them the fuck out of here. It was damn near a squash.
Sasha Banks and Bayley, listen, they've worked hard enough these last couple of weeks. I mean, they've been on every show. From NXT to which again a great match on there. Last week's Raw, last week's SmackDown. Not Extreme Rules. What the hell was the pay-per-view before? And Backlash. Like, they've done it all, and they're continuing to do it all. They just want to work. I mean, these were the boyhood dreams or the girlhood dreams of the girls who wanted to just become wrestlers and work. But yes, they got Iconics the F out of there, and now I guess they're moving on to Asuka.
I think Novak said it best. He said, if you ever needed any proof as to how not on board they are with the Iconics, that match was proof. Because like essentially when you think of Bruce's booking, you think of it like, okay, it's really like some of it's really like really good and cool and timely, and it throws you back to a different time. But also he's speaking through Vince. So like this is what Vince really wants to see. So he don't want to see them. He don't want to see that shit.
Yeah, I mean, also on SmackDown, forgot to mention it. The ladies of SmackDown return. everybody except Carmella, they had something to say about Bayley. They were like, "Oh, well, I'm tired of this Bayley thing. We need to get Bayley out the paint," which eventually led to the Sasha Banks versus Nikki Cross thing.
Yeah.
Sasha Banks is winning a lot, which is something that's new. So, props to her, because I don't think she's been on a streak this long since she's been on the main roster.
Turn her up.
And of course, to close Raw off, the big Seth Rollins Rey Mysterio segment. I thought Dominic was about to get his ass whooped by his dad in the middle of the ring, but they eventually led to the Seth Rollins thing, and it was probably 10:49. I was like, damn, they really put on all these 2008 ass people on the show, and Alistair's just killing it in the back, and then
he showed up.
11:57. He showed up.
I popped
too.
I'm glad that they're giving him something. That means that they haven't given up on him, and that means that like there is still a place for him, even though it might not be in the larger feud of Seth. But I do think they'll go back to the Seth thing sooner than later, as far as Alistair Seth. But I thought the real swerve was going to be Dominic turning on his dad, because his dad gave him Ray was like talking to him like, "I'm gonna whoop your ass when we get home."
Yeah.
I was like, bro, what?
I'm gonna whoop your ass. First of all, who told you could fly on planes by yourself in COVID? Hold up. Who told you that? Just to come to Monday Night Raw. I thought it was the live sex celebration. You thought you was gonna get the live ass whooping right on national television. But
yeah. Beat your kids. Beat kids.
The ratings would have popped. It was like, oh, they beating kids on television now? Oh, turn that up.
And then follow it up with Crisley after
that. And then I like how they're hinting. They were hinting, oh, we're about to take out Seth Rollins' eye, and then they're able to escape. Some really good stuff. I'm interested in see kind of where they go with Extreme Rules with all of this, but that was Monday Night Raw. And,
yeah. I enjoyed it. I'm going to go back and watch SmackDown after we get done with this. But very harrowing week in wrestling. But I think that if there were a few bright spots on these shows that you could find there, and let's hope that it calms down so that we can have a calm episode of this show. In the next couple of weeks, again, I want to pour my heart out to everyone that did share their stories this past week, and hope that you find the closure that you look for, and hopefully for others, the justice that you so desperately wanted out of all of this. But as always, you can follow us at RNC Radio Live. Follow me at OGJohnny5 and Meelz at Meelz TV. And with that, we're into the 140s on the A Show. We'll have another 10 weeks of this, and we'll let you guys know what we come up with next week and what we have to think and talk about in the world of pro wrestling. So until then, thank you all for listening. Peace out.
We'll see you guys next week.